Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Nerdrotic Live. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and we are here to review The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9, The Marshal. And I'm not going to go over every little plot point in this, and this is going to be very old school. It won't be that long. I mostly want to hear what you think. I think most people who've really wanted to see it have seen it. Spoilers are completely fine. And this will probably be the only live review I do on this channel. I'm going to be doing reviews for the entire season, but I'm probably going to move those to Patreon as we close things out on Patreon by the end of the year. But I got to give you guys something. So we're going to do exclusive to a tier. And we're going to do, for the other tier, you're going to get the Expanse. So when the Expanse comes, I'm going to do exclusive reviews there, chop them up, turn them into videos that will end up on Nerdrotic Live. No, I'm not doing The Mandalorian on the main channel because, quite frankly, the interest isn't there. I've gone through everybody else's channels, kind of seen what their reviews are, which were very good. A lot of good channels out there doing a lot of good work. And quite frankly, as far as YouTube is concerned, I'm not saying the show's not popular. I'm just saying it's no Game of Thrones. It's just not. Even though it's released weekly, it's because I'm going to be picky about one more thing. There's no set time. I think weekly releases get lost a little bit by not having a set time, especially here in the States, when everybody is watching it at the same time, and then we can all talk about it at the same time. So that's a bit of a problem. It's still an improvement. I am glad it's released weekly, even though we'll get into whatever complaints I had about this show still kind of remain. Although overall, I liked the episode. I did. I thought it was okay. But I have to preface this the way I did the last season, with the big difference of the people's hero, Gina Carano. I'm very disappointed that Gina Carano was not in the Gina Carano show, but I'm looking forward to her return. The Mandalorian, for me personally, takes place in a world I no longer care about. So I'm kind of watching this as objectively as possible. I have no attachment to lore or canon anymore because my attachment was solely the original trilogy. I'm not the biggest fan of the prequels in the world, but whatever they did, I never felt like they did overall damage to Star Wars. I think they ruined Darth Vader a little bit and some other things, but I know there's a lot of prequel fans out there, and they were still made by George, so I never saw them as anything other than Star Wars. We can agree with that, and they have certainly they've gotten better over time because of the Disney trilogy, which I think is hot garbage. Some of the worst filmmaking, some of the worst storytelling, some of the worst character destruction I've seen of two of the most beloved characters in pop culture ever. And when I watch The Mandalorian, anytime I see Star Wars, anytime I think about it, I see Han Solo being killed over and over again in my head as a bad father. And I see Luke Skywalker as a coward drinking soy milk out of a titty. And as I've said before, you cannot put the soy milk back in the titty. It is done. It is cooked for me. And there's probably nothing Disney can do to change my mind on that. That being said, that's not the Mandalorian's fault. That's not Jon Favreau's fault. And I won't even blame Dave Filoni. I'm kind of lukewarm on the guy. I've never been the biggest fan of him. I don't hate the guy. Got nothing against him. I know he made some asinine statements before. We all have. But quite frankly, it was just more of Lucasfilm and how they've treated the fans and how they've treated these characters. And I don't know how you tell a Star Wars story in 2020 with the access media and the blue check marks who have a lot of power over these people in Hollywood, quite frankly, and they shouldn't. And Gina Carano is paving the way to show you that you don't need to give a crap what people say on Twitter. It's insignificant, irrelevant, doesn't matter. They are anime avatars probably, I don't know if they're bots, the same person with 6 accounts. I don't care. If you won't show your face, I don't really take you that seriously, or I don't respond at all. And Gina Carano has proven that you can survive all this. I know there is I think it's The Beat or the Mary Sue wrote an article about the transphobia of the Mandalorian, just because it has Rosario Dawson and Gina Carano, who have never, ever, ever shown any sign of transphobia in their lives. They just simply didn't want to bend the knee to the pronoun police. And I think there was some weird relation to something with Rosario Dawson, who was most certainly on the left. So I don't care enough to understand it. I just know that I like both of those actors or actresses, whatever we want to say. And I think The Mandalorian by itself in isolation is the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars. And after I watched the first episode, I felt that Jon Favreau should be running the show, period. And they should probably follow the MCU's example. And they have their superhero built in. We were having a conversation about this on Friday Night Tights, and that's where my first reactions for the show will be for the here on out. Will be on Friday Night Tights, and then I'm going to do something for Patreon. Then I'm going to put it here. And EVS said that, Boba Fett's Batman. Yes, he's your superhero. He's Iron Man. He's Batman. And you can create a whole new universe with this. Eventually, I believe Disney is going to have to erase the whole damn thing and start from scratch. They're going to find out, if they muck around in this world too much, they're going to run into problems. And that problem is the Disney trilogy and Rey, because nobody's going to want to be reminded of her. The normies are out, and all you are left is Reylos. Are they even there? I don't care. Again, I don't care. But as far as this episode goes, I thought it was okay. I still think it is essentially a really good live-action cartoon. This episode was a little more sophisticated, but they repeated a plot from the first season, where they go back to being a Western, which is good, which I like. But up front, I'll say if there was any truth to the rumors that Pedro Pascal wanted to take his mask off because he felt like other people were getting more screen time or you're losing the focus of your main character, I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to absolutely agree with him. The Mandalorian is going to have to take off his mask at some point. And if you're going to stick to that, then the Mandalorian will not be the most important character, and then they'll have to shift it to somewhere else. And we're also going to have to see if Grace Randolph, her rumors are true about the big shift mid-season. We'll see. So we have, and again, the plot was not that detailed. Mandalorian is set in a task by the Armorer to find the home species or the planet of Baby Yoda species. And he is on a planet where we see some Gamorrean guards fighting, and he goes to a guy who's got some information about a Mandalorian on Tatooine. This guy is willing to die for this information for some reason, and it's not even good information, it turns out, but this guy is willing to die for it. He gets a bunch of his henchmen killed. There's a really good fight scene in the beginning. We saw the first part of it in the trailer, then it went black, and I thought the fight scene was great. He ties the dude up by his legs, hangs him upside down, very Batman-like, and he gets the information that guy's willing to die for. And he gets killed. There's when the Mandalorian's walking towards whatever, he's going into like a fighting rink, and you see these little red eyes. If you knock out the lights, those little creatures with the red eyes will come in and eat you. So it's very good to stay under the light. And that's what the Mandalorian does. He gets the information by saying, I promise you won't die by my hand. And he gets the information that there's a Mandalorian on Tatooine, although he had never heard of there being a Mandalorian on Tatooine. Shoots out the light, guy gets eaten. We assume. We don't actually see it. So the Mandalorian heads to Tatooine, and I'm forgetting her name, and it doesn't matter that much. The Tig Notaro of Star Wars, the female mechanic who's got the droids from episode 1. And apparently the Mandalorian is totally okay with droids. He runs into her, and he wants to get information on this Mandalorian. He's in Mos Eisley, by the way, and it's Mos Pelgo. I can't remember the name of the other town, but that's where the other Mandalorian is. You find out that since the Empire had, been defeated, that they had fled Tatooine. So apparently Tatooine now in Disney canon was, in fact, the Empire, under the Empire control, or they had infiltrated it. I'm forgetting the word right now. Doesn't matter. So there's a quick scene there, and it wasn't great. It was supposed to be funny. The droids are doing dumb stuff. The vacuum gets... It's episode 1 stuff that I hate and I don't want to be reminded of, but all of a sudden Disney loves this. Remember Disney's whole attitude about George Lucas in the beginning? Do you remember the first lines from The Force Awakens? This will begin to make things right. Talk about sheer fucking hubris. And all of a sudden they're like, we love the freaking prequels. They were great. Fucking jackasses right after they threw away George's treatments. Yeah, hashtag never forget. Fandom menace, baby. So the Mandalorian goes out to the other town, and he's on his little speeder bike, and everybody's kind of giving him the stink eye, like in any Western. Heads into a bar, and we meet Boba Oliphant. So Boba Oliphant walks in, very scrawny, looks very scrawny in the Boba Fett armor. I love Timothy Oliphant. I think he's a great actor. He's been in some of my favorite stuff. Love Justified. Love Deadwood. Fucking go. Rocks. Love that movie. So, yeah, I'm glad to see him in there, and he was great. Absolutely great. Chewed up scenery, and that's the problem. You're there with Pedro Pascal, an accomplished actor. Was brilliant as Oberyn Martell. And Timothy Oliphant is just killing the guy. And then the halftime, I'm thinking, is this really Pedro Pascal or is it a stunt man? And it is kind of bugging me a little bit, but that's just me. So Mando wants the armor back because he finds out immediately that this is not a Mandalorian. He took off the helmet. And yes, it's I'm sorry to breeze right through that. Yes, it's Boba Fett's armor. Partially. It's not the cloth portions because I'm guessing they were dissolved in the Sarlacc pit. And he says, just in passing, that he bought it off a bunch of Jawas. Mando says, I want it back. I'm going to kill you. There's going to be a gunfight. They're getting real serious. They wait just long enough for the earthquake to start. There's a bit of an earthquake, a disturbance. They go out front, and it's not an earthquake. It is a giant Krayt dragon going right through town, and it gobbles up a bantha. It was cool. I thought that I believe it or not, I am not a fundamentalist when it comes to canon. I am okay with certain changes, always have been, but you have to stay in the spirit, and there's certain characters you can't change. There's certain facets of a franchise you can't change too much, or it just undoes everything. See Doctor Who. But I was fine with it. So Timothy Oliphant decides, hey, I think we can come to a deal. I'll trade you back this armor if we kill the Krayt dragon. So, and this is a very similar plot, again, with the Jawas. There is sand people in this. They go out. The Krayt dragon is on the outskirts of town, and they encounter sand people. And, of course, the townspeople hate the sand people. They represent the Native Americans. And they're going to have to, I'm going to rush through this part, work together to kill the Krayt dragon. There's a big, long scene where they're sitting and talking and arguing, and it was just, I'm glad it was a longer episode, and I have a feeling the first and last episodes will be longer, and then the middle ones will be a little bit shorter. So they decide to work together, and the Mandalorian volunteers the townspeople, and they come together to fight the Krayt dragon. And I didn't have a problem with this. This was a very 50s Western TV show plot, and there's nothing wrong with it. You want to know why? You want to know what I haven't brought up? Not yet. Identity politics. I have not brought up intersectional feminism. I know I haven't. So we have to take the small victories where we have them. And quite frankly, if we're going to be arguing over lore, I am very happy Disney has finally learned. And that's why we're getting articles like, well, now they're just pulling shit out of their ass and having to make up stuff like, let's talk about the transphobia of Disney. And I'm here. Disney, I'm not your biggest fan at all, but I will defend you in this aspect. I don't think your company is anti-trans, you're transphobe, not anti, but you're not transphobes. I don't think so for a minute. You're a lot of things. I don't think you are that. So that's bullshit. And yeah, I was entertained. I've watched it 3 times. It's not blowing me away, but again, it's not the show's fault. I just don't give a crap about this world. There's been so much damage done, and there is so much work to do. Again, not this show's fault. So they eventually come together and they fight the Krayt dragon. That scene was pretty cool. Some of the effects are so-so. You can tell that what they do is they shoot this thing in a studio with a screen in the background. And I can tell at times, especially when they did a big flashback scene while Boba Oliphant, the Marshal, and the Mandalorian are driving out or riding out there. And oh, by the way, the Marshal is on Anakin's pod racer, at least the jet from his pod racer. It's a speeder bike converted to that, I think. Don't know how he found that, but whatever. So as they're driving out, they're having this conversation while the wind is blowing and they're going, I don't know, 150 miles an hour, but they're like talking like, hey, how's it going, Bill? Oh, I'm doing great. Well, and then the Marshal decides to give his backstory that it was a town that was celebrating at the end of the Empire, the second Death Star, and then a Union came in, the mining colony, and slaughtered everybody and then turned everybody who was left into slaves. But the Marshal had escaped that. He had stolen some crystals and wandered the desert. And there's a scene where he's wandering the desert, and you can see the screen right behind him. So he passes out, and he gets saved by Jawas. He trades the crystals for the Boba Fett armor and comes in and takes out the mining colony and becomes the Marshal of the town. And that was fine. So we get that little background. But yeah, the best part about it was the Mandalorian and Boba Marshal fighting the Krayt dragon using the jetpacks. We see the missile being launched by the Boba Fett. I don't know when he learned to do all this stuff, but again, this is where it's a live action cartoon, because the biggest technical problem I had was after they're fighting the Krayt dragon, the Mandalorian, oh my God, he hits Boba Marshal's jetpack to save him, and he's all, you go take care of the child, and hits it like Han Solo hit the Boba Fett thing. Yeah, got remember that? Remember? And all of a sudden he tells, for one, the Mandalorian gets in the town, leaves the child at the speeder bike, and walks in the bar alone. They're being hunted across the galaxy. Remember that safe place? I mean, you think he would have learned his lesson in episode 4 of last season, where he got a little relaxed and one of the bounty hunters from the guild found him. So does he? And I know a lot of them are out, but he's still being hunted by a lot of factions. So I wouldn't leave the baby out. I wouldn't leave my baby in my car. He's terrible. Obviously, no experience with children. I'm talking about the writers. So, yeah, the Mandalorian all of a sudden was willing to kill a guy for this armor. And then he's like, okay, well, I'll help you kill this thing to get this armor back. Meantime, his whole mission is to find a baby Yoda species home. And all of a sudden, he's willing to die to save this town and kill the Krayt dragon, because he gets swallowed by it. And the Krayt dragon has acid spit, right? And the Mandalorian has a lot of cloth in his uniform. So he gets swallowed and spit out, and all the cloth is just fine. So I don't know. I mean, I maybe the venom comes out of another part, but we're still talking about stomach acids here. Doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter. He gets spit out. He saves the Marshal, saves the day, but he was willing to die and let the Marshal take care of the kid from now on, with like very little backstory on that. And it looked cool. It did. A lot of people, I know some people are calling this the worst episode. Some people are calling it the best. I'm very much in the middle on that one. And I'm sure there are a lot, especially in such a simplistic plot. There's probably tons of plot holes that you can point out. So Mando saves the day, and the townspeople are now friends with the Sand people, and they're cutting up the meat and being friends. And I think they found an egg or something, and that was supposed to be a callback to the season 1 episode a little bit, I guess. And they just take off. They shake hands, say, "Hope we cross each other's path again, partner." And then they take off. But then the biggest scene of them all was Boba Fett at the end. I not the original Boba Fett, the prequel Boba Fett. Here, gosh dang it, why am I forgetting his name? Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But they showed Boba Fett. And it's I don't know how people feel about that. When I saw it, I'm like, that's cool. I mean, it's good fan service, but and I never liked what happened to Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi. I'm very lukewarm on Return of the Jedi. I think it's half a brilliant movie and half a very sloppy movie, an extremely sloppy movie. And that was because no Gary Kurtz. That being said, the way they did Boba Fett, I hated. So I'm glad he's still around. We all figured he would be, and now technically he is in Disney canon, and I'm not too sure how people feel about that. Again, my feelings were, that's kind of cool. Let's see where this goes. Is he going to get his armor back? Because if you want to rebuild Boba Fett, you got to put that guy in his armor. I don't want to see him out of his armor for too long. So he was like watching him ride away, and that was it. So, and I do believe, I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember back. Remember the Gunslinger episode from season 1? Was that the 5th episode? And at the end, dude, I'm so bad with names now. The one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was shot at the end, and she's laying on the ground, and somebody walks up to her with, it sounded like spurs, and kneels down. Now, I assumed that was Gus, the Grand Moff that shows up at the end with the black lightsaber. But they were on Tatooine. So do you think that, maybe they answered that. I can't remember now. But that's the first thing I thought of was, you think that was the Mando right there? Not sure. Guess we'll find out. So that's where the episode ends. I would give it like 7.5, 8 out of 10 as far as entertainment, as far as just specifically this episode of television on a streaming service. In a world, in a universe I could care less about because of the owners of this franchise, the currently run by Kathleen Kennedy. And according to Culture Casino, who I just talked to, 80 days left on her contract. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they keep her or they send her. It doesn't matter if they erase the Disney trilogy. It doesn't matter, although that would be much better. We've already seen it. The damage is already done. And as far as me like diving in and being a big old Star Wars fan, we'll see. I can't say never. I'll never say never, but I take life one day at a time. I do. Cisco Kid for $10 says, all hail the fandom. Exactly. I think what we do need to do is focus on the positive. It's not like Disney's going to get rid of Star Wars. So if you want to continue being a Star Wars fan, that's up to you. That's entirely up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. The fact that it wasn't a woke episode and filled with intersectional feminism is a huge win. I think it's great. And if they continue to do that, then good. I wish all the Star Wars fans all the luck in the world, and I hope you just get what you deserve because Star Wars fans deserve it. They have been a huge, passionate fan base for a long, long time. And Disney, it'll never be as big as it was. There's nothing Disney can do on this earth to make it what it once was. but they can probably repair it enough to make it a pretty damn good revenue stream if they continue on this path of staying apolitical. Apolitical. Nobody's asking you to change your politics. Nobody's asking anyone to fill it with right-wing politics. I haven't even heard that from what would be considered hardcore right-wingers. All I've heard is just make it apolitical. Show both sides of the story. Or, I don't know, just keep it Star Wars. And don't tell me that the thing I was watching for long was allegory for this or allegory for that. And whatever. I'm sorry. When I saw Return of the Jedi, I was not thinking of Vietnam. And it doesn't matter what the creator wanted. As the 14-year-old kid who was watching it, I was your target audience, I was not thinking of Vietnam. I was thinking these little teddy bears are annoying me. And why is Harrison Ford's acting all of a sudden shitty? That's what I was thinking as a 14-year-old kid, but I still loved it. But let's hear from you. You've heard from me, Friday Night Tights. Az loved it, and that's good. That's good. But Az didn't watch Rise of Skywalker. He kind of detached from that, and that would probably be helpful. I'm wishing I hadn't watched it. Mr. Raging Rhino for 449 Australian. Thank you for the shout out on Friday Night Tights and all you do. Oh, cheers to you, mate. You're welcome. Hope it helped. Hope it helped, brother. And you keep up the good work. Up and coming channel right there. Raging Rhino. Check it out. Boba Fett was originally going to be seen crawling out of the Sarlacc pit, but they ran out of time to film it. In the books, he also escaped the pit, says Mr. Tickle Trunk, for 5 Canadian pesos. Oh, yeah. I read Dark Empire. Yeah. So I know how he got out. And I love Dark Empire, by the way. There's a good audio version of it with Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams is actually in it. Thanks for being here, Eric K. And yeah, these things are going to be short, but I'm going to go through the chat, see what you guys think. If you have any questions, remember to hit @Nerdrotic Live. Jeremy Bullock was the original actor of Boba Fett. Force Ghost Jeremy, you are so right. That is my Boba Fett. Jeremy Bullock, who was also in Doctor Who. Yes. Good British actor. I do believe he's still around. Wait a minute. Isn't he somebody? Wait a minute. Checking my Googles. Yep. Oh my God. Boba Fett was the legend of Boba Fett just outshined what he actually was. But man, I was excited to get that action figure. I loved it. It was my favorite. It still kind of is my favorite action figure, even though I don't have it anymore. But yes, Force Ghost Jeremy, you are correct, sir. Thank you for being here. Boba Fett, better in the hands of Filoni and Favreau than Kathleen Kennedy, who had a movie planned. Said Desert Fox 2000. I 1,000% agree with you. Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I liked it. I liked the episode. I did. I thought again 7.5, 8 out of 10, which is a good recommendation for me. I pass out. I'm not a snob. I pass out 10 out of 10 sometimes, but most episodes are like that, and it's not damaging Star Wars. There's people who are going to argue with me, like, oh, the EU's gone. It sucks. I hate it. The EU's gone. So we have to be practical about this. Now, I'll say that, good episode as somebody watching it who isn't a Star Wars fan and isn't interested in it in the least. The only thing Star Wars I bought in forever was 2 Gina Carano figures because I'm watching it to kind of support her. We need to support that balance because if we see more people from Hollywood acting like Gina to counteract the Alyssa Milanos of the world and others, then that will bring balance back. But if you see behind me, this is technically my kid's birthday present. because nostalgia is strong. Oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. There you go. That thing's badass. It's straight up badass. I went to the UTC arcade down in La Jolla every weekend and played the shit out of that thing. And yeah, it's fun as hell. Now, technically it's my kid's, but it didn't fit in his room, so it's going to have to fit in here. It's just the way things go. He's fine. He has a Pac-Man and a Galaga. Butter Biscuit 92 for $5. After Death of Skywalker, I checked out. Still contemplating on watching this. I just don't care. I can't even play Star Wars video games now. Yeah. The only ones I can play are vector graphics, and I still suck at those, by the way. Apathy is set in, and that's why I honestly, listen, it's Nerdrotic Live, so I should do some live stuff over here once in a while. But the Mandalorian didn't cut the mustard to be on the main channel. It's got to get a certain amount of traction for me to put it on there. I'm not saying the channel's too good for it. It's just the way that it goes with the algorithm. Plus, this is the freedom of having two channels. I can put whatever the hell I want. And by the way, Nerdrotic Daily now exists. I'll put a link shortly on this channel and on the main one where it says alternate channels. You can't search it right now because there's no videos. I think it's got 17 subscribers. So finding it will probably be impossible, but it's the glasses that are gray. And that's going to be clips from Friday Night Tights, clips from live streams, clips from live reviews, and then a video once in a while too. But you're going to get like daily content on there. It's December. We got to warm up to it. I've had no Lady Gravemaster this week, so I'm behind on everything. I still need to talk to Perry Chan. Chris Persia, thank you for being here, my friend. Yeah, and again, thank the maker for Jon Favreau. I know he wants to he's a fan. There's no denying this guy's a fan. Plus, he's a damn good director. All right. And he's made some movies prior to Iron Man that I love. So, Swingers made. Yep, I have the Marvel comic from the 80s where Boba escaped but got knocked back in. POC, preserver of culture. I do still have my Star Wars comics somewhere, and Boba Fett's first comic appearance. Did they mention the Marshal's name in? They might have, and I don't know. He's a character from the EU. The Marshal is a character from the EU. And we talked about it on Friday Night Tights, but I'll check it out here. Mandalorian IMDb. Quickly. I got to prepare for the Inquisition. Yeah, Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth is his name, and that is a character with a history in the EU that they changed, I believe. I've only read a few books from the EU, and that was way back in the early days. Like the only EU stuff I had read after was Dark Horse Comics. And yeah, so it's Cobb Vanth. No, overall, I thought it was okay. Does it fix everything? Does The Mandalorian, for 8 episodes that are this expensive, here's the trouble that Disney might run into, and I could be completely wrong about this. I think it was a very good plan to simplify things in the beginning. But this is where they need to start adding more sophistication to the show. And quite frankly, they need to make it a little more adult. And this is going to be the overall. I know Disney Plus apparently has a gazillion subscribers now, 60 million. That's impressive as hell. Not going to lie, but I don't know. Without rated R content, I'm not interested that much. So how will the rewatchability be for not the hardcore fans? You guys know my philosophy on that. You're built in. The ones who are still around, you're built in. They count on you. you're not what they factor in. They factor in normie rewatching ability. Are a bunch of people talking about Baby Yoda, but not really watching Baby Yoda. And the Baby Yoda thing will wear thin, I promise you. It's not going to last longer than this year. That shit never does. So what do they do from here? Are they going to just slowly introduce more characters? They need to make the galaxy bigger, for one. Going to Tatooine, just Anakin Skywalker's jet from his pod racer. Boba Fett's armor. It's still very small. I understand why they do it, but you're trying to remind people of better times continually, and I think what you're doing, Disney, is reminding everyone what you fucked up. So their biggest challenge is to win people like me back, which I think that's a tough one. That's an uphill battle all the way. And winning back normies who are going to watch it regularly. And again, I looked across YouTube and there is interest in it. Not going to deny that for a second. But is it the interest they need for Star Wars? There's interest in a show, and then there's Star Wars interest, which is supposed to eclipse any other show. It's supposed to be the biggest thing. What's up, Ed Brewer? How's it going? It's the biggest. It once was the biggest. How's it going, Ed Brewer? What the hell? How you doing? It's the biggest franchise in the world, and it's just performing pretty good. And maybe that's what Disney needs right now. Maybe that's what they need. You know, I'm not going to condemn anything on its first episode of it. So we'll take it one episode at a time. All right, we're going to Sam Whiskey. Will Pauly Shore babysit Baby Yoda in season 2? Sam Whiskey for $1.99. That is her name from now on. Thank you. And Sam Whiskey, I will give you full credit, buddy. Butter Biscuit, 92 for $5. After the I read this one. Sorry. Hi, Butter Biscuit. Force Ghost Jeremy for £5. Just spotted the Star Wars arcade machine. Does it play as well as the original? So far, yes. I mean, like the last time I played the original was when I had an Empire Strikes Back one in my shop, and it feels, it's smaller, but yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan and you still love the original trilogy, and you've got, I think it was, you have to get that booster thing. I think it was like $600 or $700. It was a lot of money, but I don't know. That thing is cool as hell. It is. I was not going to pass that up. There's the Marvel one out there too, but I'm kind of sour on them too. We'll see. But yeah, it plays pretty damn well. Walmart. Tom from Midnight's Edge pointed me to Walmart to get it. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. I think Ray's grandpa will do a cameo on the Gina Carano show. Yeah, I think we heard that Luke Skywalker might do a cameo, like in the background. I said that last season. What they're gonna do is have the Mando. They might even replicate. Oh no, well something, a battle. They'll do a battle, and you see like Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker in the background, and Han Solo. But that's another problem you run into. Like they exist in this world, and if it's so small, then it's only a matter of time until they run into Luke, Han, or Leia. And then when you see Luke, you're going to go, look at that quitter. Remember when he wasn't a quitter? Remember when he didn't suck soy milk out of a titty? I do. See, here's the big difference between fucking up Star Trek, which is, and Doctor Who, which is 50 years of canon and hundreds of episodes. You fucked up 40 years of canon and basically 6 movies. I mean, I don't know where you go from that, except for remaking the original trilogy. Standing by it while I sit down. Martin Music for $5. Yes, this episode was entertaining, and it looks like it was made by people who love Star Wars, but the writing is awful. I'm thinking about making a review for it. Yes, absolutely. Make a review for it. Do it. Best way to start your channel, review television. Not movies. Not movies. Movies is a bad, I don't think there's much of a, unless they're TV movies or streaming movies. But like streaming will provide entertainment from here out. There's so much of it, it becomes white noise. And it's so much easier to go on YouTube, watch streamers. Latino Slant, what's up, buddy? For $5. Sooner or later, this show is going to have to deal with the child and showing Mando. This will dictate the kind of show it will be. Is his the way? I agree. And I think I agree with Pedro Pascal. I don't think you can do 7 seasons of a guy behind a mask and it being anything more than a cartoon at that point. Sam Whiskey, yes. Rescue. I don't have a drink to tip anywhere. Yes, I do. Sean would hate this, but rest in peace, Sean Connery. Frickin' man's man. And the franchise has died, says Sam Whiskey for $1.99. You are correct, sir. You are correct. God, the people going after Sean Connery on Twitter was so expected, wasn't it? But you know what? There was a swift response by you all. And this is why I'm so proud of you. Thank you. You bring balance to the Twitter. You really don't, but you do help. Twitter's garbage. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Rianne Johnson. It's back to where it should be. 2 Canadian pesos. Baby Yoda gets delivered. Baby Jar Jar takes over. Oh, no. Don't give him any ideas. Oh, my God, Fat Steven Seagal. I could see that happening. A baby Jar Jar might actually be cute to, like, the kind of, that you hear all those girly squeal noises. And I mean, like, it's great. Everybody loves a baby. Babies are cute. By the way, congratulations, Papa Odin, my co-host for Friday Night Tights and good friend, new father. And John F. Trent, a couple months ago from Bounding into Comics, bringing in toxic males and females into the world. It's great. My mate was a grip on the Rise of Skywalker, but can't defend it. Max P 123 ABC for £1.99. Hey, it's a job. I understand it. And in my review, I told the editors, I said, the editing sucked, but I do not blame you for 1 minute. There's nobody. Michael Kahn couldn't have fixed that movie. There's nobody that could have fixed that movie at that deadline. They should have delayed it a year. I mean, well, maybe 2. That would have been better too. Yeah. Release dates are lame. I think they restrict creativity. You know what else restricts creativity? Diversity and inclusivity meetings. Yeah. Sam Whiskey for $1.99. We'll keep watching Q, but not Baby Yoda. That's right. He was a little crooked there. My buddy's back. All right, folks. We're going to wrap this one up. I've already gone on too long, but I thank you for the super chats. You guys are wonderful. And the next one will be on Patreon on one of the upper tiers. There's 2 upper tiers. By the way, I'm closing out my Patreon at the end of the year because I just simply do not have time for it, but I owe everybody there some content for the rest of the year. So, and there's going to be some gifts involved too for some of the upper tiers, but we're going to be closing them out and moving everything to memberships. But as we close things out, we're going to go Mandalorian for one tier and then The Expanse on the other, and then the videos will come up here. I'll probably put them up as a premiere and participate in the chat when they load up here, but I owe those people something. They've been very, very supportive, and I love them to death. And as far as a video on the main channel, I will do a season 1 comprehensive breakdown of The Mandalorian sometime after the season ends. Picard is being made right now. The Boys will be made. The Umbrella Academy season 2 will be made. And then I'm going to go back and work on stuff I didn't do videos on. Why the hell not? It's going to be, content might be dry, so this gives me time to maybe do one on Star Trek Discovery Season 2 and 1, and a comprehensive Doctor Who Season 11 one, and break them down. They're going to be long, and you will hear, because often we are accused of just hating stuff to hate it. No, I'll tell you exactly why. I will point out every moment that I hate in these things, or dislike, or feel that you disrespected the audience and the character, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be cathartic for me. Listen, I don't ever come on this platform going, you're going to learn something from me. No, I'm just going to tell you why I didn't like it, what I found wrong with it. As somebody who's been a fan of pop culture my entire life, the first thing I can remember is watching Batman and the 50 Superman, the 66 Batman, 50 Superman on TV. First comic book I bought was in freaking 1975, I believe. And I saw Star Wars in the theaters, was watching Star Trek a mere 8 years after it was canceled on the original series. So yeah, been a fan. Long time. I love this shit. I don't hate it. And I want it to stick around. I want it to still live. Unfortunately, it's too late. With things like Star Trek Discovery, I was asked recently why I review it. Well, somebody tweeted at me Mr. H's reviews or whatever, his first reaction to Star Trek Discovery. It's like, welcome to the party, but it's late, man. We already know it sucks. We already know Star Wars is dead. We know the Disney trilogy sucks. And the only reason I would still review it is I am presenting the murderer of the franchise to you. His or her motives and the evidence. It's kind of like a CSI, but I'm not that detailed. And presenting evidence of a murder of a franchise, and for posterity, I am going to continue to see that the murderer is trying to cover its tracks. It's trying to desecrate the corpse. As far as Alex Kurtzman is concerned, I do actually believe there's a segment at Disney who wants to make things better. There is a path, but you're never going to bring everybody back. You're never going to get what you paid for, Disney. It's too bad. Marvel might be making the same mistake. Star Trek is cooked and done, and so is Doctor Who. And I'm sorry for that for all of you fans who deserve so much better. iCane 1906 for $5. It's funny how they went out of their way to make the EU non-canon, but now they're pulling more and more of it back in. That's the fight within. Kathleen Kennedy is the old way, right? And now they're trying to make up for her mistakes. So, but you know what? There's people who work there who are complicit. The Pablo Hidalgos and many, many others. So thank you, IK 1906 for $5. Thank you, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Chris Persia, Mark Lazerth, Eric K. Good to see Ed Brewer. And the next video up will be a week from now or Monday. I can't say it's going to be a set schedule on this. Jonathan Aldridge for £5. Kurtzman, you're fired. Wait.
I have no choice but to tell you, you're fired.
Trigger Trump. That's where we'll end it. All right, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.